What is going on, guys? It's the one and only FootballBRO, and today I am going to predict the awards for the NFL. So MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, etc. And so obviously the awards are starting soon, and obviously so is the Super Bowl. Anyways, go Eagles. But anyways, let's just get right into it. Okay, so to start this off, we're going to start off with Coach of the Year and end it off with MVP. So starting off with Coach of the Year, our candidates are Brian Daboll, Sean McDermott, Doug Peterson, Kyle Shanahan, and Nick Sirianni. I think we can eliminate Sean McDermott right now because although the Bills did have an amazing season, everyone expected them to do much better than this. Obviously, he wasn't able to utilize Josh Allen well because Josh Allen gave up the most turnovers in the whole league. I also got to get rid of Doug Peterson. Although he did make the Jaguars from a bottom team to really good. Everyone knew he was a good coach, like he already won a Super Bowl. And people knew that Trevor Lawrence had potential. He just didn't have the right coach around him. And we can also eliminate Nick Sirianni because although the Eagles had an amazing year, the other candidates I feel like have a better chance than him. So now we got Brian Daboll and Kyle Shanahan. And the thing about Brian Daboll is I think he did amazing as a head coach. The one thing about him I gotta say is rookie head coaches don't really win Coach of the Year that much. So I don't think he was going to win it. And the reason why I think Kyle Shanahan deserves it is probably because he was able to bring the 49ers to the second seed, even though they had to play with 3 quarterbacks. And I think that's just amazing. Next up, we got the Comeback Player of the Year. And we got Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, and Geno Smith. Now, obviously, I think we could start off with Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley since they're both running backs and they're going to be pretty easy to compare. Saquon Barkley had an all-around better season with the 4th most rushing yards, also 9th in the league for rushing touchdowns, all-around better season. But the thing that makes me want to choose Christian McCaffrey over him is not only does Christian McCaffrey have better receiving stats, Saquon Barkley had a better season than Christian McCaffrey last year. If this is Comeback Player of the Year, not who had a better year, who didn't do as good last year. Saquon Barkley was number 35 in rushing yards last year. And Christian McCaffrey wasn't even in the top 50. So I got to go Christian McCaffrey over those two. Now it's Christian McCaffrey versus Geno Smith. And I got to choose Geno Smith. He didn't even play last year. He was a backup last year. He went a giant improvement from last year. We are going to go on to Defensive Rookie of the Year. And I think it's pretty obvious that we're going to go to Sauce Gardner. Because Aiden Hutchinson, he was a good, but I don't think he was that outstanding for the Lions. And Tariq Woolen, although he did lead the league in interceptions, but if you actually see Sauce Gardner play, you could see why Sauce Gardner is better than him. Because Sauce Gardner allowed 1 touchdown that wasn't even his fault. Tariq Woolen, on the other hand, he has allowed multiple touchdowns. Next up, we got Offensive Rookie of the Year. Brock Purdy, Kenneth Walker, and Garrett Wilson. Right out the bat, I'm going to eliminate Brock Purdy. Although he had an amazing year, and no one expected him to do this good, he's only played a couple games in the actual season. So I don't think he has played long enough to be in contention. And so if you look at the stats, Kenneth Walker was 12th in rushing yards with 1,050 and also had 9 touchdowns. He had tied for 10th in the league with it. But if we want to go to receiving and see Garrett Wilson's stats, he was 15th in receiving yards with 1,103. And in touchdowns, he was able to rack up 4 touchdowns last season. Obviously is not that good, as he was tied for 46th in the league. Even though Garrett Wilson had more yards, it's very likely that for receivers to get more yards than running backs. So I've got to say, looking at these stats, Kenneth Walker is what did amazing this season. He was able to build up a rushing game that people thought was going to be bad after Chris Carson retired. I think he did amazing, and even though Garrett Wilson had an amazing year, I don't think he had enough touchdowns to win this award. Next up is Offensive Player of the Year. We got Tyreek Hill, Jalen Hurts, Justin Jefferson, Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to have to get rid of Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes because it's unlikely for a quarterback to win Offensive Player of the Year. So we're down to Tyreek Hill and Justin Jefferson. And now this is a close one since they were both number 1 and 2 in yards. But since Justin Jefferson had more yards with 1,809, and he was also had more touchdowns, with tied for the 11th most in the league. And Justin Jefferson secured his spot as the best receiver in the NFL this year. So I think Justin Jefferson deserves to get this award. So next up, we got Defensive Player of the Year. We got Nick Bosa. We got Chris Jones. We got Micah Parsons. Should be a pretty easy choice. If you look at the sacks, which is important for all 3 of those positions, you could see Nick Bosa in first with 18.5, Chris Jones and tied for fourth with 15.5. On the other hand, Micah Parsons obviously did not even have as much sacks as the other 2, as he had 13.5. And if you look at tackles for loss, Nick Bosa has 19, Chris Jones has 17, and Micah Parsons has 13. So I think it's pretty obvious that Nick Bosa deserves this award. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, the MVP. Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, Justin Jefferson, or Patrick Mahomes. First of all, I'm going to eliminate Justin Jefferson just because wide receivers don't really win MVP. It's usually only quarterbacks. A wide receiver has never won MVP. And I think if any wide receiver would win MVP, it would be Cooper Kupp last year. And since he wasn't able to do it, I don't think Justin Jefferson will be able to do it. So we're just down to the 4 quarterbacks. But I think the first person I am going to get rid of is Josh Allen. The most interceptions by a quarterback is 15 by Dak Prescott and Davis Mills. 14 is held by 3 quarterbacks. One of those quarterbacks is Josh Allen. And Josh Allen had the most turnovers in the league because not only did he have 14 interceptions, but he also had 8 fumbles. I do believe he's a pretty good quarterback with good potential. And Joe Burrow, who has less interceptions, less fumbles, he has the same amount of touchdowns as Josh Allen does, tied for second with 35. So I think it's pretty easy. We're going to eliminate Josh Allen. Speaking of Joe Burrow, we're going to have to eliminate him next. Because he does have the same amount of interceptions as Patrick Mahomes, but he has less touchdowns and less yards than Patrick Mahomes, who has the most touchdowns and most yards in the league. So now we got Patrick Mahomes, and we haven't talked about him in a while, Jalen Hurts. Now, you might be like, well, Jalen Hurts only had 22 touchdowns, only 3,701 yards, 10th in yards, and 15th in touchdowns is not good. But the thing is, if you look at rushing and you go to yards, he is 35th in yards with 760. Oh, that's not that good. But if you look at his rushing touchdowns, he is tied for second with people like Derrick Henry and Austin Eckler. But here's the problem with choosing Jalen Hurts. He was injured for 2 games. And I think those 2 games might be the difference on why he's not winning it. So although I am an Eagles fan, I got to give MVP to Patrick Mahomes because I think he deserves it. Anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to like this video and also subscribe and hit the notification bell for more uploads so you don't miss a video. I'll see you guys in the next one, hopefully coming soon. Peace and go Eagles.